Today we're going to be looking at my dot files and the environment that I kind of work in. So starting off, I use Arch Linux. Let me just get a terminal up here and do neofetch. So I use raw Arch. I have a desktop computer with fairly old graphics card now and an i7 8700, which is quite a few years old now. I got it about 7 years ago now. And yeah, Hyperline, so you get all your lovely tiling stuff, all sorts of interesting things you can, whatever your heart desires. I don't really use the tiling all that much, apart from like this. This might be the most that I do, and then I use like the mouse to drag them along and stuff. It's not super keyboard focused on me, but honestly I'm mostly in the terminal anyways. And let's get back to it. I use Tmux for practically everything. So let me just, staying on Hyperland, I just want to show you the config. Yeah, so the only kind of interesting things about this config, I have a couple of binds that I'll show you in a second, but my most interesting ones are actually these. So for example, if I do Windows M, which is my main one, you can see on the top right that I actually muted my microphone there. And I can also use mod K to toggle between my speakers and my headphones, which is really useful if I'm going in and out of meetings. So I usually have my headphones out, my speakers, and playing some music, whatever it is. And then if I need to quickly toggle back to the headphones, or switch the music to the headphones, whatever. Honestly, the rest of the config is very, very, very simple. So that's it for Hyperland. Tmux is basically equally as simple. So let me just show you Tmux real quick. It basically doesn't have that much apart from the Vim Tmux Navigator and the Capuchin plugin. The only other thing is, I suppose, if I can, like when I highlight with Tmux, so you can do this, for example, that syncs to my system keyboard, clipboard, which I find very, very useful. If I'm quickly on a log and I need to find something, I can just grab it. That's kind of it for this. I have some floating session stuff, but I don't really use that anymore, to be honest. That's kind of it for Tmux. And the whole kind of config revolves around Capuchin as a theme. So you can see like the Tmux, this bar at the bottom, using Capuchin. If I open Dolphin, yeah, all of it also uses the same kind of stuff. It's quite nice. Now, there are a couple of other interesting things about my system. One of them is Neovim, which is the biggest, most interesting one. So this one is I'm going to spend more time on. It's nothing crazy. It's 2 files. I'll open them here. Here they are. So I have space as leader. I also have the unnamed register going to my system clipboard. So whenever I delete something, I'm using a Control-Shift-V here, not Vim paste. I have relative lines on, some other kind of sane defaults, I suppose, and lazy as my package manager, just here. I'll get onto those in just a second. That's kind of it. As for the plugins, I'll just go and list them. I use Vim Wackertime to keep track of my coding time. It's nice. Wackertime's a good product if you haven't checked it out. And then I use Conform for my formatting stuff. So it was kind of a replacement for NoLS when that went, when that was not deprecated, archived, I think it was, or gone into maintenance mode. And yeah, it formats on save, uses LSPs on fallback. I can't actually remember where I set the factor to do it on save. It's somewhere. Or maybe it just does it by default, actually. It's nice. It's nice. You just have to come here and configure to whatever you want, and it just works. I basically haven't touched this one in a little while because a lot of the time LSPs will have formatting. So Zig, Go, they have formatting on the LSP, and it's already good enough for me. I have toggle term, which is this guy. Comment, simple commenting util. Vim Tmux navigate. I use this one a lot actually. So this is for going between a Tmux within Vim and to a Tmux pane or window. I always forget the order. So you know, you can navigate around Tmux normally. I'm using Control and then JK HL, but I can go inside Vim and out. So I find this really useful when I'm doing a little bit of coding and I go go test or whatever, and I go back. Don't have to touch my mouse. It's just quite nice. Auto pairs. So this is for like div stuff. It doesn't work on this file, but yeah. Grovebox material. This is a really nice theme with a hard setting. I really enjoy it actually. I like it a lot. We have telescope, which we all know. I have three things that I use telescope for. So FW, which is live grep. So if I search for configs.setup live grep. So I think this is just default telescope. I don't use fz, which I could do. I haven't really found a reason to be honest. Maybe for searching through commits might be a bit faster. And then I use a space ff a lot. I'll show you where are they? Here. Yeah, for a telescope. Space wf for live grep. ff I use a lot for files. Package. Yeah, this one's the one I use the most. And then fb, which is useful when you're working on a bigger project and you have lots of stuff open. I'm gonna kind of just get through them a bit quicker. So yeah, you can just go ahead and go through them. Cool. That's it for telescope. I have true setup, and this is part of Neovim actually. So I can't even remember why I have this here. I think it might be for some config stuff. Yeah, actually might have to review this one, but just works, so I tend not to look at it too much. This is maybe one of the plugins I'm not super sure about. It's nice. It's the window here, and it's nice to do this, but I don't find myself using it too much. And the honest truth is the reason I use this left bar a lot, I have it always out when I'm developing, is because it gives me a nice padding. So I have quite a big monitor, and looking all the way to the left is a little bit annoying. And like this, I can more or less look straight at my monitor. And it would be the same on the smaller monitor. I don't know. I just kind of find it annoying to look at the left of my screen. I never liked dual monitor setups really. I have one screen in front of me that I like. It takes up a lot of my field of view. So I just use that as padding, basically. It's a little bit. This config's a little bit complicated, but it's just more or less the example. It follows you if you're on different files, highlights and stuff. It's nice. I get to rename, create all sorts of stuff here. It is like fairly like nice. It's a good plugin, but I'm not sure I use it all that much. I'm gonna take it away because it's easier for you guys to see. I have an Neovim LSP config, which I think there's a slightly new way which you do this, but I still basically just use their setups for the LSPs. So here are all the LSPs I want to enable. I have a loop, and then I have separate configs for LSPs that need some sort of more special setup. So Lua I think needs this like globals, and then rust analyze I think was really annoying me at some point with I think it was a bug, I can't quite remember, but I added this because it's something there was a pop-up that kept coming. Blink SMP. Oh yeah, the completions. These are just quite nice. If I go like I don't know, hello equals vim dot, get a nice little completion here. I can do the preview. So like if I do vim dot, if I do space, I think it is, and N and P. So space is the toggle preview. Quite nice. I think you can theme it a lot better than I have, but I'm not actually that fussed about the default themes. I don't have like a status bar at the bottom, for example. And that's it for plugins. It's, you know, it's actually more than I would want, I think. Especially with, it comes with a couple of, you know, friendly snippets from Blink SMP, and there's a couple of like dependencies, and diffview that I got rid of, but I might come back to that one, to be honest. Diffview was, I think it's still installed. Diffview, no, it's not. Yeah, so that's my plugins for Neovim. And I just want to show you some of my shortcuts, some of my remappings and stuff. So up here, you know, you got your same defaults and stuff. I actually changed saving to Control S. It's just something I got so used to in previous editors that I kind of stayed. The split navigation. Oh yeah, so if you have a split within Vim, I wanted to use the same stuff as oh, not that. Nope, that's not the one. Was it Control WS? That's it. So this is like the same as navigating within Tmux. I don't tend to use that too much. I don't think I use. I know, actually that's not true. I use whoops. I use splits a lot. I use vertical splits a lot. Two files like this, just to, you know, if I want to see something on my right and then have it on my left. And that is actually the rare occasion where I do take new tree down. Okay, next one is space X, which is just to close buffer. So if I go over here, close buffer. That's simple. The telescope ones we've talked about. Control N for this. Space C is to focus it. I don't tend to. Do I use that one a lot? I usually use Control H actually, you know, to go to the left and right. Yeah, these ones I use a lot, like a lot. So these are your LSP stuff. So go to definition, space D, space GD. CA I use a ton for different stuff. You know, it's like some LSPs are really good at that. RA for renaming. Open float is quite nice. A equals 5, B equals, let's say, maybe. There you go. Global variable. Did you mean to spell it local? Actually, why is it even allowing that? You know, space LF to open the floating thing. And then GR, just find references. A equals 5, whatever that is there. It's A, find references. There you go. Oh, this is actually giving me tons of stuff because A is a global of one of the plugins somewhere. Oh, this one is clearing search. Yeah, this one is cool. So if I search for leader, you know, you can do this. If I just press escape, it goes away. Which is nice. And then I just have the, you know, the floating terminal coming up. Now this kind of does lead me onto a nice segue, which is what I use on my floating terminal is Lazygit. So let me zoom out a little bit so you guys can see this better. I use Lazygit inside my terminal a lot. It's just the, you know, it's just the way I interact with Git most of the time. You know, commands are fine too. I like the commands too. I really like seeing like a nice overview here, and I like that it's one basically like 2 keystrokes away. It's just super nice to see the diffs, you know, see what you have, and that, you know, it just makes things nice. Like if you want to have certain things committed but not others, it's good. And just to show you quickly my config for Lazygit is well, it isn't super simple, I suppose. So I use delta to show the diffs, which is like if I remember correctly, it's you know, it's got the colors. So you see like local config equals require. So it's got the keywords, the syntax highlighting and stuff. And then a couple of others that's mostly copied from somewhere else actually. So yeah, the branch command, for example, here you can see all that. Auto refresh, also fetch. So that's it. That's actually it for inside Neovim. Just a couple of other things. Let's search. Oh, actually, what is it? Notify send. Hello. Notify send. How do I do that again? Oh, I can't remember, but if I get a notification, that'll come up on the top right, and I use Dunst for that, and this just has some defaults like this. Phantom is for my icons and theme and stuff, so this is Dolphin, you know. So it's nice. It also has some, yeah, that's basically it, literally just theming. Fish is something I could talk about. It's my default shell, and you see, you know, it's just quite a nice shell. I've gotten used to it quite a lot, so that's kind of what I use. I have a couple of abbreviations, so LG for Lazygit, V for Neovim, some of this stuff for Android development, and this add package one, which I'll get onto in a second or next. And that uses Starship, which is the thing that makes it look nice. And where is that? Starship. Oh, Starship.toml. That's it. Yeah. So I took this from a template somewhere, and you know, it does somewhat basic stuff. Tells you where you are, what repo you're in. So if I go somewhere like here, I think it tells you, yeah, what version of Go you're using. If I do like ls, it tells you, I don't know, sleep 2, let's go. That tells you how long that took, I think. Yeah, it took 2 seconds. It tells you the, yeah, excuse me, the git branch. That's it. Some KDE globals here. Nothing too interesting anymore, to be honest. Apart from Metapac. Now, because I don't have NixOS, I use something called Metapac to try and keep my desktop and my laptop in sync. And that basically is a config that you can create groups for and say what you want installed in certain ones. And it uses different package managers, so it's package manager agnostic. So you can tell it to install certain things on Arch. So this is the default. This is both for my desktop and for my laptop. So Rustup and Cargo. So yeah, this is just quite nice. So I've got all my common packages here that I use for my desktop. I have the Lamine, which is my bootloader, and for my laptop I have you know, just a couple of things that are extra, but most of the time they are just basically shared. You have to be a little bit careful with these because they can get out of sync fairly quickly, and that's where the add package comes in. I think add package is actually broken now. It is, but let's pretend it's not. Add a package is in my scripts here, and what it does is it adds a package to a certain I think it is literally just doing this, isn't it? Yeah, no, that's so if I go, I don't know, yay, fetch or something, new fetch. I want the nice, nope, that's fast fetch, unifetch. Let's do fast fetch. So if I do add package fast fetch, it goes through, and what you'll see happen is it does more than just run the adding this to the packages. It also syncs it back to this config here in .files. It runs a Metapac sync, which is taking the packages from the Metapac config and installing them onto your system, and then it does a git commit. So you can see here, add package hello, which actually didn't go through. So if I run yes, I do want to install that new one, which is fast fetch, and that's installed on my system. That was very fast actually. And if I show you here, there you go, fast fetch, committed that in there. Yeah, it's just really neat. Use this when I want packages to try and keep it in sync. I haven't been all that good with it because if I run Metapac clean, which I should do at the beginning of everything, you can actually see there are tons of packages that have kind of made their way in through me installing them, and I haven't added them to you know, I haven't added them properly, which is bad. So I basically need to get on it, but I don't run clean too much. Sometimes I run it. The more important thing is that I want things that I really want installed, and I don't have much of a problem with things kind of just being left over. I prefer they weren't, but I don't care that much because having them doesn't actually deteriorate my experience that much. It's just things that I do want installed. So when I booted on my laptop, when I put Arch on my laptop, where I had a Garuda before, I just ran Metapac sync, and it just downloaded more or less all of this, and it was just so good. I had all my language servers, I had all my just random stuff, you know, I had Tailscout installed, I had keymaps installed, I had Postgres installed, I had just all sorts of stuff that I want installed, which was really nice. And how then what do I do when I make a change? So when I make a change, what I do is I do scripts manager.bash, and what this does is it asyncs everything to config and also local. So I have a couple of theme stuff on the local share. These are icons, I believe, and it does it. It syncs it over, so that I can keep it nice and up to date. I do have a .file system which runs this on boot. So, you know, if I change something on my desktop and I'm working on my laptop, this just runs instantly. I don't really need to think about it. Apart from packages, which will come up and ask me to install them. And the manager looks like this. There's a couple of extra things I need to tell you, which is a little bit of macro, almost like a macro. It's only used in Hyperland Conf monitors, yeah, and it's here. So you notice they're both commented out, and it's because I use different settings for my laptop and for my desktop. I don't love this approach, but it's the least complicated, I would say. I would love to keep different branches, almost, but I don't think that's particularly great either. It would add a little bit more complexity, and I want my files to be very simple because it's hard enough to almost like motivate yourself to actually use them and keep them in sync and keep them all nice in a nice repo. And all this does, all the rest of this does, so a lot of complexity here for the set command, which just checks where you are and it looks for desktop and laptop. It cleans it up at the end. It uses rsync to just go from config folder here, syncs it all to .config in home, and then local to do the same. What are these actually? Oh yeah, these are icons for sure. Yeah. And then at the very end, it does kitty metapac sync, and that's the thing you saw when it asked me to install something, which is quite nice. I think that is about it. I showed you more or less everything. Have I showed you Fuzzle? I haven't shown you Fuzzle, so just super quickly. This is Fuzzle. These are all my apps. That's it. Not much to see there. Oh, and Waybar. I suppose there is Waybar. But again, this is more or less default config. There's nothing too interesting here. Yeah, it's nothing crazy. I have like this is actually quite interesting on my laptop because I have the battery stuff, the backlight stuff, and yeah, and a little bit of the stuff when I switch my output to change the icon as well. Yeah. So guys, those are my .doc files basically. I hope you enjoyed it. The repo is in the description if you want to go have a look, have a browse through that. Yeah, thank you for watching. Catch you in the next one.